Hi there, it's Jen from modernmedicinelady.com and the Empathic Woman System, and the words of the day are me too. So in the last 24 hours, my Facebook newsfeed has been blowing up with status updates saying me too, and many of them with the sentence along the lines of, if everyone who was sexually assaulted and or harassed posted me too, then maybe we could begin to grasp the magnitude of this problem. And I found myself looking at this last night, and I found myself contemplating whether or not I would post my own me too. And what's interesting about this is that intellectually, I know I've been harassed. I know I've been assaulted. I know I've had a number of weird, uncomfortable experiences that sort of defy category, where it's a little bit more gray, it's a little bit more confusing, it's a little bit more like it's not quite so obvious, but it still feels weird and wrong and like, not so sure how that was, not so sure I'm comfortable with that. And yet I found myself questioning my worthiness to post my own me too. Now, I'm sharing this with you right now, not because I want sympathy, not because I want anybody to be writing like, oh my God, Jen, I'm so sorry. Because I really am one of the lucky ones. For one thing, I'm lucky because I have tools, and I have been able to clear most of the distress and most of the charge and the trauma that has been associated with any of these experiences. And as a result, I feel incredibly fortunate because I'm okay. And I really want to say that. I also am very fortunate in that I'm one of the people who did not experience extreme physical violence in the way that many of my sisters have experienced it. And so I found myself thinking, well, was your experience legitimate enough? Was your experience bad enough? Did you do you deserve to claim me too if you don't have the bruises to show for it? And what I thought was, after a while, was that the thing is that we live in a culture that diminishes, that dismisses, that invalidates our experience when we are harassed, when we are assaulted. And one of the things that often comes up is that people will say, well, it wasn't that bad. You didn't experience blah, 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 blah. Or, well, they were only saying something. You're okay. No harm, no foul. Or, suck it up. Get over it. What are you so worried about? It wasn't that bad. And even at the beginning of as a child, I remember being told when little boys would really harass me and chase me around and say really sexually inappropriate things to me, that a lot of times I was told, oh, just ignore them. They're just jealous of you. Or, oh, just ignore them. They like you. Now, I just want to say, I know I'm not the only woman or little girl who was told this. And what kind of messed up thing are we telling our children, that when little boys harass little girls, that it's the way that they're showing us that they like us? I mean, come on, seriously, this is not okay. But there are so many ways that we invalidate our experiences when it comes to being objectified, when it comes to having people say things that are not okay, when it comes to having people touch us in inappropriate ways, make passes at us, do all kinds of things that are against our will and against our consent. And yet, we live in a culture that has this tendency to look at things and say, well, if it isn't this extreme thing over here, then who are you to claim it? Who are you to complain about it? I mean, just looking at what's going on as things are blowing up around Harvey Weinstein, and how many stories there are about the way that people would just say things like, oh, don't worry about that. That was just Harvey. But the thing is that until we start calling it all out, until we start acknowledging even the most subtle of catcalling or the most subtle of inappropriate comments coming from middle school teachers Like I had an art teacher that was really pervy and said things to me that were so uncool. But until we start calling those things out, it's like all of it is a problem. And I really believe that in the continuum of this rape culture, that it starts with the stuff that we can dismiss and it ends with the stuff that leaves somebody bloody and bruised and battered, if not dead. So my question to you right now is, what's your Me Too? Do you have something that is going on or that made you uncomfortable, that wasn't okay, that you know happened, but maybe you've been questioning whether you even deserve to claim it because maybe it didn't qualify in the way that your mind imagines sexual harassment or assault would be considered? And what would it feel like to just acknowledge that, yeah, it may not fit into the textbook definition of, or movie definition of, violent rape, but it's still not okay? And if you feel so inclined, will you join me in saying Me Too? So I would love to hear what you have to say below, and if you feel safe enough and comfortable enough, please write Me Too below. And until next word of the day, I am wishing you peace. I am wishing you ease. And what I'm really wishing is that we can have a world where our daughters and our goddaughters are not being told that it wasn't that big a deal, to just ignore it because they like you or they were jealous of you, or just, oh, suck it up, get over it, you're fine. But that instead we can live in a culture where this kind of behavior is just not happening. So that's pretty much what I have to say. I'm kind of speechless. So, like I said, until next word of the day, peace.